Thank you for joining me today for a quick history lesson. It's been almost 20 years, which is why I'm disheveled. I've got a poor memory, very grey, slightly balding to sort of mid-balding. But I have been really sentimental the last couple of days, sending people really emotional messages. The Fanatics era has begun with trading cards, but the Panini era is an extraordinary and a very important piece to the Fanatics puzzle, because if they understand how the foundations of that house was built, then the renovations are going to be easy. So I want to take you back to where it all began for Cherry and for Panini, which is 2009-10. Over the next 10 or so minutes, I'll give you a brief recap, a history lesson. What is the story of Panini basketball trading cards? So if you've got any questions, hit that question sticker. I'll get to them at the end. But until then, I'm going to refer to my notes because time hasn't been kind to me. I started with a poor memory. It's awful now. In 09-10, the most asked question of me was, what's a Panini? No one knew. They wanted their Upper Deck product. They kind of knew their Topps basketball as well, but they were very Upper Deck focused. They had no idea. Who is a Cherry was also the second most. Why am I watching you? Was important up on the list. A box of National Treasures was about 500. I think it was somewhere between 500 and 700. I couldn't find it on the Wayback Machine. You can imagine getting your National Treasures for that. I remember selling out extraordinarily fast, so I probably underpriced it as well. And we at Cherry hit the Blake Griffin Logo Man Auto out of Absolute in one of the first ever personal breaks that I did, which was an extraordinary moment. I didn't quite understand at the time how big. Of course, he was way bigger than Curry back then. He was doing an incredible highlight reel every week, and it was fantastic. One of our first ever YouTube breaks was the Absolute Griffin Logo Man. In 10-11, we had Linsanity, and that was the first time that I'd ever seen a trading card worth nothing go to a trading card worth an extraordinary amount of money. We had a customer who had bought Golden State Warriors on credit in almost every one of our breaks. They had a stack of cards at my house they hadn't paid for. So they were about 3 or 4 months in. I'd send them a lot of emails asking them for payment. They hadn't paid. I had a stack of Jeremy Lin cards a foot high. And I was in Germany at the time, and he blew up. And these cards became worth a fortune. And of course, I asked my wife to check. She checked, no payment. And she checked how many we had, and I received payment that day. So didn't get any of those incredible Linsanities. I don't think I would have got the money had he not blown up. The rest of 10-11 is unfortunately deeply suppressed trauma. I don't recall it at all. We moved into 11-12. Didn't get any better. There was a lockout, so the cards were obviously terribly affected. I think Panini at this point were probably absolutely beside themselves, and they probably thought that this wasn't going to work out. So if you've just joined this space and you think that it's all been sunshine and lollipops, it has not. Let me tell you, 11 and 12 was dire. And we moved into 12-13. Something pretty incredible had to happen. And it did. In 2012-13, Panini debuted Prizm Basketball. And if you're wondering how Prizm Basketball hit, let me tell you this. People were chasing rainbows before my third break. And I wondered why this product was just extraordinary. Like, cause we were breaking, and it didn't feel that amazing compared to some products we'd busted. But it was selling out, and I was like, why? And I asked a few friends who were collecting for a lot longer than what I had been, and they said that people love chasing the color variations, and that it was a new thing essentially for a Panini product to really have that beautiful colorization. It was huge. Kyrie variations were extraordinarily sought after from day one. The gold phenomenon was less so. It certainly grew. At the time, you could get golds quite affordably, but it took a good decade for people to stop referring to Prizm silvers as refractors. For those of you who don't know, Topps Chrome introduced the refractor. I think they introduced it in 97, 98 or 96, 97. They actually it came out in like 93, 94 finest, I think. But in the way that we kind of see it as like a silvery foil card with lighting, the first I recall was the Topps Chrome version. So we also got our first ever box of Flawless in 2012-13. I remember writing an email to Panini and saying, hey, listen, is there any chance I could get one of these boxes? They look amazing. Panini sent me 2 loose boxes, and I tried to sell one. It didn't sell. And then I listed another way, and I sold it, but I didn't really make very much money. So I opened the second one, and I got a Kobe Greats of the Game patch auto, which I remember I had a friend sell it, and I got an extraordinary amount of money for it at the time, and I thought this is living. So thank you for Panini for sending me those 2 boxes of Flawless. That was my first ever taste of Flawless. But it was a price point that this region, in particular Australia, couldn't afford at that time. It was just a bridge too far in terms of our audience. The audience hadn't grown large enough at that stage. In 13-14, there was a crash. The rookie class was horrendous. Michael Carter-Williams was the chase. People were selling stuff below cost as soon as it released. And literally before it released, people were selling it below cost. It got lower. Select was abysmal. You could buy Select. I think I was selling Select like $40 a box. It was either $40 or $60 a box. It was just no one wanted Prizm. It was really bad. There was a chase though. It came out the year before Immaculate, but in 13-14 there was a Shaq Reebok pump card in Immaculate Basketball, and we were, and the world was, I believe, so committed to this card. And I'll never forget one of our live streams. We opened a box of Immaculate, and we'd been doing like a case a night, and the card on top would fall to the sides like it was on, I don't know, a Reebok pump. And I was shaking. We've got the pump. Get the cards out. Yep, like it's like this. It's like it's, Tony Hawk or Kelly Slater in their prime, and it was like a hat button that had sort of popped up of some donut. And when you break cards and you feel like you know what something is and then it isn't it is so devastating. But we bounced back. Cherry also shut in 2013-14 for a very brief period of time. We shut for about 2 to 3 months because I was just like, I can't keep losing money like this. I've got to focus on a real job. I can't just import products, sell it at cost, and spend my life shipping cards to people. So we get to, oh, actually, I should just point out, right at the end of 13-14, Giannis rose from the ashes and he lifted some of those products up. Didn't get them that far above cost, if at all, but he lifted them up. We could see some momentum. In 14-15, we got our first phenom, Andrew Wiggins. People had been absolutely hot on this guy for years. I think I heard about him in like 10-11. People were like, just get to Andrew Wiggins and the hobby will be saved. So we get to Andrew Wiggins. It wasn't saved. He kind of was like, okay. Everyone was kind of like hoping that he would get better. He didn't play terribly, but like it wasn't like we've sort of come to get accustomed with phenoms. The products were okay. Noir debuted. My memory of Noir was that it was an international exclusive. It probably wasn't. But my recollection was we got a way bigger allocation than we were used to. I remember I listed it on eBay because I've taken on way more than I was normally able to sell. And I got a cease and desist from Panini that was basically like, Grayson, what the hell are you doing listing product on eBay before release? And that was a nice little slap. We got an amazing hit. One of my very good friends had purchased a spot in our first Noir break, I think it was, and he the night of the break he said, like, listen, I need the money for something else. Do you mind if I pull out late? I'm so sorry. He pulled out. We'd already gone to air with the show, and I kept his spot so that we didn't have to stuff around with it anymore. It was like a $400 or $500 spot. He got Lakers in the draw, and a Kobe Spotlight signature came out, which is, of course, one of the most sought-after cards right now. We sold it at the time, but it was an incredible card, and obviously we weren't in our own breaks very often, if at all. And so that's a very good memory of mine. 15-16, he was devastated. I do tell the story a lot too. I just missed out on a Marvel card. Thank you, eBay. In 15-16, we got Replay. Panini officially apologized for Replay. So that tells you how well Replay went. It was a no thanks. 15-16 was a strange sort of year. Retrospectively, it doesn't, like, I tried to think about what happened. Listen, sales are really strong. People love the rookie class. There was a good Laker. Porzingis was, at the Knicks, which is fantastic. Cat looked generational in terms of his talent. Very, who's going to change the game. Big man shoots threes. I remember the products were really hot. They sold really well. People were really happy with them. But at the end of the day, nothing really, I couldn't put my finger on something amazing that year. The next year, different story. Downtowns debuted in a product called Studio. And for some reason, something's dinging in my head that it wasn't called Studio. I might be wrong. What was it called? We sold so much of it. Well, I've never sold more of a product, but we sold so much of the product because it tanked. So if you can think now, go back in time, a product with the first downtowns in it tanked. So when you're looking at products and you see that they're tanking, don't think it's an always, like it's forever. It's often just about time. So downtowns are finally there. Big Ben, who was the chase, Big Ben Simmons, generational talent from Australia, he signed with Upper Deck. And it was one of the first times since maybe like Durant back in the Topps era obviously LeBron with his exclusives, that we had these products that were missing like a key component. And there was a fear that it was going to destroy the hobby. At the time, I spoke with Panini, and Panini were like, listen, it's fine. We've known about it. The products will perform really well. We've built them to survive, and they couldn't have been more correct. It was up. Prizm performed fantastic. It was a really good year. In 17-18, we had all of the ball drama. LeVar Ball, Lonzo Ball, that was a big part of it. And animal prints came back in a way that was bigger than the 80s. Select made its charge at becoming the king. Optic had made its charge at becoming the king. Prizm was looking shaky on the throne, but we all know what happened. It wins. There you go, spoiler alert. There was a real sensing, as someone who had a card shop, that Panini had worked out what the formula was. So they'd been through that, obviously, that initial period where it was really difficult. They had some success. They'd worked with a bad rookie class. They'd survived. They'd worked with a phenom who didn't plan out. They'd survived. And they started to aggressively look at products that had worked and still improve them, which is something that I think is really important with sports cards, because it's very easy to rinse and repeat, increase the price, same product if you want, because you've got an exclusive license. You get away with it. Look at what biopolies, monopolies do. That's not what they did. They were improving this stuff all the time. They were moving key inserts into products that were underperforming to lift them up, and then they were building on new stuff for those other sets. We get to 18-19, and this is when they debuted Choice. So the Choice SKUs, which were a huge advantage for international markets like Australia and Asia. Tiny little box, really light, ships cheaply, and gives us a SKU that is our own. And the Nebula drove sales of those. The draft class was fantastic, albeit at the time people were adamant that it was not nearly as good as the previous one. There was no Lonzo Ball. So there was no Lonzo Ball. There was a SGA, there was a Luka, there was a Trey, there was a, you name it. But there was no Lonzo Ball. In 1920, we got Zion. So we had Mount Zion, the hysteria that came with that, and COVID threatened to ruin everything. I did business plans about how to survive, how to change my life if I needed to close Cherry, what I would have to do with staff, what sort of runway I could give them to help them find new employment. There was so much of the strategic thinking that we were having pre-COVID just disappeared, because we had to work out what was the potential insurance plan. And then, of course, there was the Kobe tragedy, which absolutely changed the face of trading cards. I woke up and I remember sitting at my coffee table, and just sales of all these Kobe card sales were pouring through the website. And I was like, wow, what's happened? Like, it's the wrong time of the day for him to be, to have scored 100 points. And of course, saw the news, and devastating, just completely unsure of what would happen in that sense. And to this day, the Panini have only produced one more Kobe card, which is extraordinary. And it's not even expensive, which doesn't make any sense. But yeah, really, it was an interesting time, a very interesting time. In 2020-21, we got the hobby hangover. Zion hadn't looked like panning out for people. A huge amount of money came into our space in a very short period of time. The valuations of businesses at that time were extraordinary. And we were only saved very, very late in the piece by Ken Golden and Drake. So the old Superman cape came out. Kenny Golden donned the shirt, and they chased the triple logo man, which saw flawless change from a high-end product to an extraordinarily unattainable product to the common man or woman. 2021, stickers. We got stickers on everything. COVID was mean. It was a bad rookie class anyway. The products, we hadn't got out of that hangover stage. Some of the products, Panini were loading the products. They were absolutely, Flux was extraordinary. No one was buying it, and we broke it all down for singles, and it was just extraordinary. I'd never seen a product like it. Checklist was amazing. The hits were incredible. 4 or 5 like absolute stars in every case. It was fantastic. But it was getting to the end of that hangover. People hated sticker autos, and times were better in 18, 19, and etc. So it was really hard sell. Then the news came, and the Fanatics, breaking news, the NBA had sold its license exclusively to Fanatics, and we're on the clock. Panini had the date that has just passed 2 days ago. In 22-23, we got, for the first time in a product sense, gold Kabooms. So that product that Panini had brought to market in 13-14 innovation, I think it was 13-14 innovation was the first Kaboom. That product that they'd brought to market had gotten a little tweak, and that tweak was making it an extraordinarily beautiful gold color, which had proven quite successful in anything that they'd applied that color to. And the demand was really starting to build. We look at our analytics all the time. We can see that market trending up, the sessions to our site. Revenue's never a really good guide because the products change in price so much, but those sessions, people interested in those products. And the rookie class wasn't strong. If your sessions are going up and the rookie classes are soft, that's a very good sign. In 23-24, we got the no Wemby, no problem. The products were fantastic. The prices surged because of Wemby, but the actual delivery was just spot on. Panini did what they did in the Ben Simmons debacle. They made sure the products survived without those Wemby autographs, and that always means you're getting a little bit more trimming, a little bit more icing on top. They've been the absolute best at doing that over the years, and those products delivered again, which brings us to this year, 24-25. Now, this is poetic, in my opinion. This year, the last year started with Prizm basketball, which tanked. The rookie class that is so important to that gold Prizm didn't lift it up. The inclusion of some inserts, they didn't hit as well as they had historically. Some of the art didn't hit as well as I'm sure it was intended. And that product went below cost very, very quickly. Panini's last product is Prizm Black, and it is the same product with a twist. And if anything at all could be the key ingredient to Panini's success, in my opinion, over those 2 decades, it is their ability to be constructively critical about good products and bad products. They don't stand for sales equals quality. They've never stood for that. Prizm, the first Prizm they dropped this year, sold out at their end. It just didn't perform for the resellers, the people that are trying to build markets, the people that are trying to build businesses, the people that support the cyclical nature of this industry/hobby. And their product development team went to work. They've got the best product development team in the business. They've got the best leadership that I've been a part of in any industry that I've worked in. And they reconfigured the absolute juggernaut brand that they brought to market over a decade earlier with the exact same rookie class, and they created a product that on face value could be the best product that they've ever released. If one of those rookies explodes, will be one of the best products they've ever released. That is the secret to Panini's success. That is why this collectibles industry is positioned where it is. And to that I say thank you. I feel like a little bit emotional about it, but it's really important. Just to give you the executive summary of all this, and I want to start by saying that Panini have changed my life. So it is very difficult for me to be impartial about it. They've allowed me to be successful doing something that I'm extraordinarily passionate about, and they've enabled me to build a team of people who I care very deeply about. But basketball trading card collecting is in the position it is in because of the decisions that DJ, Mark, Billy, and Kevin have made 2 decades. So if you disagree with the success that Panini has achieved in that time, I'm happy to fight. We can just meet where you like. I'm happy to fight. I'm not impartial, but the results speak for themselves. Fanatics now have an enormous set of shoes to fill. I want nothing more than to see a post like this in 20 years' time saying, from someone who like is literally starting a hobby store, starting a breaking whatever, now saying that their life has changed because of what Fanatics had been able to do in the last 2 decades, building on that foundation and achieving a further level of greatness. One of the people that I most respect in this space said to me once that change is extremely important, and that you can't have too much product. You could only have too much of the same product. Sorry, I just need to... And I think if those 2 things remain true, that we're in for a great ride. We are going to have change. I think it's going to be extraordinarily good. And we'll have change again. So I think that nothing's more certain than that. And as long as we have heaps more product that is extraordinarily unique and that continues to create these exceptional pieces of collectible art that we have, then we're going to all have a great time. So thank you, guys. That was the last 2 decades in a nutshell, or in a cherry shell. Panini, congratulations. Thank you. And Fanatics, over to you. I'm excited. The first set looks extraordinary, the flagship, and it is up now live on the Cherry site. I've got one question, and Instagram hasn't updated. It says no questions yet. I can't see your questions. If you did ask me a question, they might have deleted it. I do apologize. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my ramble. Thank you for your support over that time with Panini basketball products. Panini's going to have an extraordinary range of products. Their soccer stuff is blowing up, immaculate again. Prizm World Cup next year. Really excited to see what they do in that space with all this time on their hands. And I will catch everyone else. We're about to open the shop here in Hobart. I'll catch everyone else throughout the day. And at PAX. See you there.